Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. On behalf of the American-Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, I welcome you to today's webinar that will analyze and present the markets in the states of New York, Illinois, and Florida. It is a fact that COVID-19 has had a significant impact on the worldwide trade sector, and especially in the areas related to catering and hospitality services. At the same time, the rapid increase in the usage of communication technologies is shaping a new landscape in consumer attitudes, new trends in the field of trade, and in the way supply chains operate. This new data creates a new environment, part of which, let us not forget, will continue to exist after the complete end of the pandemic. The US market is of rapidly escalating interest for many Greek companies in exploring either to export their products and services or to launch a business entity taking advantage of the numerous incentives that each state provides. Acknowledging that the US is a very large and diverse society, the Chamber and its TradeUSA department, after a series of seminars we conducted the last 5 years all over Greece, informing potential exporters about the US market in total, we decided to start focusing on certain states and their specific profile and characteristics. In order, we provide more in-depth information. Today, we have the second part of this new series of webinars under the title State by State Insight, which we envision that will be very useful to anyone participating in. A fundamental role to the success of these webinars are definitely the experts who participate and will transfer their valuable knowledge. I want to thank our speakers who accepted our invitation and will take part today. Many also thanks to DK Marketing, and particularly to Dimitris Karavasilis, who is also our international trade advisor. I also want to thank Athenian Macedonian News Agency as media partner and Export News as communication sponsor. Finally, my colleague Dina Athanasiou for her work and contribution as head of the TradeUSA department. I will now pass the floor to the president of the chamber, Mr. Nicholas Bakatselos, for his welcome remarks.
Thank you, Ilya. Dear friends and esteemed colleagues, the American-Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, along with its international trade department, TradeUSA, through targeted actions and initiatives, has created a strong foundation that addresses the issues Greek companies face when entering the US market. Throughout the years, the Chamber consistently monitors trade information between Greece and the US while sharing valuable insights from the US market, which is the largest, most dynamic, and most diverse market in the world. Today, we're happy to introduce the second part of our State-by-State Insights series of webinars, where experts will share information on industries that are important to Greek business, focusing on the states of New York, Illinois, and Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, an important element in supporting Greek export trade with the US has to do with sharing information and providing support and guidance to Greek businesses, whether they are active exporters or hope to enter the US market. The methods we use to collect and share market information while providing valuable advisory are continually adapted to the dynamics of the real economy. This is achieved through commitment, expertise, specialized knowledge, and continuous market research. We're confident that today's event, as well as a series of follow-up initiatives in the near future by the Chamber and TradeUSA, will serve as valuable tools for our export-oriented business community. In closing my short remark, I would like to thank all of you for participating in today's event, and of course the team of TradeUSA and the speakers to whom I wish every success. Thank you, and I will pass it on to Dina.
Thank you, Mr. Bakatselos. Dear esteemed speakers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you in the States who are watching us now, and good evening to everyone here in Greece. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all today. The US market is the largest, most dynamic and diverse market in the world, consisting of 325 million consumers and presenting the highest household spending globally. However, new entrants need to recognize that every USA state is different with its own unique profile. To address the need for in-depth information, the American-Hellenic Chamber of Commerce and International Trade Department TradeUSA introduced a new series of webinars to provide useful insights per state with the aim to contribute to further enhancement of the bilateral trade between Greece and the United States of America. A TradeUSA State-by-State Insights webinars series kicked off in May and focused on the states of Texas, California, and New Mexico. Today, we proceed with the second webinar, which will analyze the states of New York, Illinois, and Florida. The event will begin with a presentation by Mr. Dimitris Karvasilis, International Trade Advisor and CEO and founder of Idea Monkeys LLC and DK Marketing, and he will share insights for all three states. We are extremely honored to have with us today Dr. Anastasia Xenias, Senior International Trade Specialist and Global Team Leader for Europe from the U.S. Commercial Service of New York from the U.S. Department of Commerce, along with Mr. Nikos Papakonstantopoulos, U.S. Commercial Specialist from the U.S. Embassy in Athens, Greece. Dr. Anastasia Xenias is going to have a conversation with Mr. Dimitris Karvasilis, while Mr. Nikos Papakonstantopoulos will talk to us about investing in the United States of America and the Select USA program. Regrettably, Ms. Marco Markopoulos expressed her sincere apologies as she will not manage to be with us today due to a family emergency that came up. And on our behalf, we would like to wish her all the best, and we hope to welcome her to one of our other events. Before moving on, I would like to share a few data regarding the bilateral trade, as well as a few words about who we are and what we do. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, in 2020, the U.S. imported $1.3 billion worth of goods from Greece. The top import was $414 million worth of food manufactures, which accounted for almost 32% of total imports. The second key import was fabricated metals, which made up 10.4% of total imports into the U.S. from Greece and had a value of almost $136 million. So what about TradeUSA? TradeUSA is the international trade department of the American-Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, established in 2013 with the aim to inform, assist, educate, and provide guidance to Greek companies with their business endeavors regarding the U.S. market. We have various sections and initiatives, which include workshops in key regional cities in collaboration with the local authorities, the organization of the annual Export USA Forum, which is the only forum in Greece that focuses solely on the U.S. market, the networking of Greek exporters with American importers, distributors, and buyers through trade missions, exhibitions, and B2B meetings, as well as the provision of consulting services on export issues, including regulatory compliance with the FDA through our exclusive collaboration with the EAS Consulting Group. We cover the full range of needs a Greek company may have when aiming to penetrate the U.S. market. Our latest Export USA Forum, held in November, entitled Trade Beyond COVID-19, The Way Forward, hosted an exceptional lineup of speakers and gathered 600 attendees from 12 countries around the world. And this year will be also held in November 11th, so we invite you to stay tuned for more information. At this point, I would also like to mention our new initiatives, the Greek Exports Handbook, a printed guide and a dynamic interactive digital platform designed to showcase Greek companies and producers and help U.S. importers and buyers access promising opportunities with Greece. You may find all the related info by clicking the Greek Exports Handbook link under the TradeUSA logo at the Organizer tab below the live streaming screen. Dear participants, I'm wishing you all a constructive event. Thank you. And now I would like to pass the digital floor to Mr. Dimitris Karvasilis. Dimitri?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dana. Good afternoon to everyone. I would like to thank you for one more afternoon that we are going to share together state-by-state insights, and we are going to see about New York, Illinois, and Florida, some insights, some demographics, in order to have a better inside view about those three states. So let's begin because there are really big states and they have a lot of data. I would like to share with you as many as we can, but the presentation is going to be available after our webinar through the website of American Chamber of Commerce. So everybody can watch the video and also download the presentation in order to study and see more detailed some issues that we address through this through our slides. So let me share. Okay, I would like to share this. Okay, so let's begin with New York. New York is the fourth most populous state in United States. So there is 20.4 million citizens for 2021. So we can see that it's one of the most concentrated states, and we have the.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. But you have stopped sharing your screen, so we can't see your screen. Could you please share it again from the beginning, please?
Is this okay now?
I think we're good. Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry for that. It's the lack of technology. So, as we said before, New York, as a city with Manhattan, has around 8.5 million citizens, and then follows, we can see that it follows the Hampstead, that it's around 800, and then we have Brookhaven, Islip, Oyster Bay, and goes on. So we can see that there is a really big concentration also in New York City, not only in New York State. Now the gen, that the population of New York by gen, we can see that people over 74 years old is around 1.5 million, and we can see that the baby boomers are 4.5. Gen X is about 4 million, 3.7. Millennials are 4 million, Gen Z 3.6, and Gen A 0.8. So we can see how all this population is by gen. We can see that the males and females are almost equal, about 49 to 51. And concerning the race, we can see that we have 55% of non-Hispanic or Latino white alone. We have the African American by 18%, and then follows the Hispanic or Latino and Asian. As we can see, they have a really big growth the last 5 to 7 and 10 years. Now, concerning Illinois population was estimated about 12.85 million. It's the 6th largest state by population and 25th largest land area of United States. Has been noted as a microcosm of the entire United States, and we can see this through our we can see this through our market research that we are doing, and concerning Chicago especially, with a population of 2.7 million people. When we apply a market research or consumer trend there, it is really a microcosm of the United States. And we have Chicago with 2,700,000 people, and then it's Aurora with 200,000 almost, and then it's the Naperville, Joliet, and Rockford. So it goes on. We can see also here how is the concentration of population in the city of Chicago. Now, about the gens, over 75 years old, we can see it's almost 661. The 55-74 is 2.8 million. Gen X 2.5. Millennials, it's 2.5. And then Gen Z is also 2.5. And we can see that the Gen A is about 1.5. As you can watch this pie, you will see that there is a very nice spread of all the percentages all around this pie. So you can see that it's that this is why we are talking about microcosm of United States, because if you can see, everything is divided almost equally. Again, female and male here, the female is 51 and the male 49. And also about the races, we have the white alone 60%, African American is 14, and then Hispanic or Latino is 17, and Asian are 6%. Now, Florida is the third most populous state in the United States and estimated to be 21.6 million. Miami is the metropolitan area with a population of 6.2 million, and of course is the most populous urban area in Florida, and the seventh most populous in United States. The largest city in Florida is Jacksonville, with almost 1 million inhabitants. Now, after Jacksonville is Miami. Sorry, after Jacksonville is Miami, then is Tampa, Orlando, St. Petersburg, and goes on. Concerning the races, concerning the generations, here we can see that over 75 is 2 million. Baby boomers are 5.5 million, and this is a really big share. 4 million are Gen X, 4 million also is the millennials. Gen Z it's 3.7, and Gen A is 2.3. Now again, male female also is divided like almost equal share. Male are 49 and female 51%. Here we can see that more than a half is white alone concerning the race, and Hispanic or Latino is a very big share, like 26%, and also the African American are 17%. Now let's take a look about the economy after the demographics of those three states. The economy, first of all, of New York is reflected in gross domestic product in 2019 was 1.75 trillion, ranking third in size, behind the largest states of California and Texas that we have already presented in our previous webinars. New York State were an independent nation, it would rank, if it was an independent nation, it would rank 10th largest economy in the world. Now, the first sectors, let's say, that lead, or the sectors that leads the economy is the financial services, healthcare, professional services, retail trade, manufacturing, tourism, and education. The financial activities sector is comprised over than 29% of the state's real GDP, while the rest top industries together make up 27.2%. So we can see that financial activities are, let's say, the heaviest industry and the services of New York's economy. Now we can see the disposable personal income in millions. We can see that 2020 instead of 2019 was growing up, and if we can see the disposable personal income per capita, we can see that we have $60,000 to $67,000 per capita, and concerning the consumption and the expenditure per capita, we will see again that there was a growth from 2011 to 2019 up to 55 almost thousand US dollars per capita. Now, the economy of Illinois. The economy of Illinois is the fifth largest by GDP in the United States, and one of the most diversified economies in the world. In 2020, the real GDP of Illinois was about 863.51 billion US dollars. Of course, the economy of Chicago fuels Illinois' economy, and the largest companies based there is Abbott Laboratories, AbbVie, it's Baxter, Boeing, and many other branded and well-known really big industries. The top sectors and industries in Illinois are the business services, advanced manufacturing, education, it's agriculture, energy, biotechnology, and sports. Manufacturing in Illinois accounts for 14% of the state's total output and generates $101 billion in economy activity. So businesses in Illinois employed 24.2 million people in 2018, and there was an average annual employment growth of 2.6%. Of course, we can see that the unemployment rate across the state in March of 2020 was 5.3%, and all this was due to the effects that started to have concerning the COVID-19. Now, the disposable personal income for Illinois was 654.966 million, and on 2019, and we see that there was a growth also on 2020. The same growth was happened about the disposable personal income per capita, and of course, if we can see the same growth was about the consumption expenditures per capita, that was also growth by 18 to 19. Unfortunately, we don't have enough and accurate data in order to update this data for 2021. It is a little bit hard for all of us to collect accurate data, and I think by the end of 21 we can have 2020 and the first the first semester of 21 in order to make to process all this data, and we will come back to you. Now, Florida. Florida is one of the United States economic powerhouses. It's the third biggest state in the country by population. It has the fourth biggest economy. 2020, the GDP was almost 1 trillion. It was 935.67 billion. And we can see that Florida's economy is extremely diverse too, with tourism and agriculture among its top industries. And we have to understand that 2/3 of that is for farming. So we can see that there is also a very, very big agriculture sector growth in Florida too. The disposable personal income, 2019 to 2020, you can see that there is a small growth. The same is per capita personal income, that it was from $46,000 to $49,000 on 2020. And the same for the personal consumption and expenditures. We can see that per capita expenditures were around 43,000 per person on 2019. Now let's take a look about every state's imports and exports. So New York State imports in 2020 from Canada, Switzerland, China, India, Germany, Italy, France, and UK. This was the top 8 countries of importing. So we can see that there is a big bilateral trade between Canada, New York State, and Canada. Of course, but it is very crucial about New York and Switzerland, and New York and China. The imports from Greece was in New York State. It was olives, cheese, Portland cement, trailers and semi-trailers, peaches, olive oil, parts and accessories of military weapons, sea bass, beauty or makeup preparations, and fruit preparations too. Now, Illinois imports in 2020, it was from China, almost 69.5 billion US dollars, and we can see following Canada with just 18. We can see the very big differences, and we can see that China was a champion in Illinois imports. Of course, after it follows Ireland, Germany, Japan, Switzerland, Netherlands, Vietnam, and the rest. Concerning Greece, again, olives was the first product imported as a matter of pricing, as a matter of volume. And in 14, it was 14.56 million. Then it's food preparation, aluminum alloy, rectangular plates, seats, and strips. And then it was the parts and accessories of bodies for motor vehicles. Then it was olive oil, peaches, aluminum foil, and we can see that In Illinois, especially, the food is not, let's say, the first, but we have also a lot of industrial raw material like aluminum, like parts that were imported from Greece. Florida imports, we can see that China, again, here is a champion with 7.23 billion. Then comes Japan, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, and France. So we can see that the bilateral trade is more expanded also with and also being done with countries that are neighbor countries, and also it is in Latin America. Now, concerning Greece, the Portland cement was the first with 12.20 million. Then was olives, petroleum, olive oil and its fractions, monumental or building stones and article, food preparation, worked monumental or building stone, sea bass fresh or chilled, parts for filtering or purifying machinery, and parts of furnitures are the most popular products that Greece is exporting to Florida. Now, companies in the United States are located, some of the largest companies in the world, with the most important located in the most popular states, like New York. We have JP Morgan Chase, we have Verizon Communications, Citigroup, MetLife, Pfizer, and we can see in billions ranked by revenue on the bars. In Illinois, we have Walgreens Boots Alliance, we have the State Farm Insurance, the Archer, Daniels Midland, Boeing, AbbVie, and many other companies that follows. And in Florida, we have World Fuel Services, Jabil, Leonard Corporation, AutoNation, Carnival Corporation, and of course many others. In construction industry, the construction plays a very important role in the development and also in the health of the economy. Can be measured by the new houses that are constructed. Construction companies have the ability to offer many jobs to different types of employees and many individual also professions, and has proven to be one of the country's most resilient industries in light of the impact the coronavirus has made on the global economy. Of course, there was a very big hit in all these 2 years concerning the prices, the crash of the demand of some commercial residency and residential buildings, and there is a very big repositioning right now and very big changing and disruption in the construction market in United States as a whole. In 2020, New York State had the 4th largest construction sector in the nation after California, Texas, and Florida, but also had the highest job losses too, due to COVID. In the 9 years before the pandemic, the state construction industry added a total of almost 100,000 jobs at an average annual rate of 3.2% in total. After reaching a record of 406,000 in 2019, the industry lost the almost 11% of jobs, falling to 362,000 employees in 2020. Now, Illinois construction in Illinois is booming, especially in Chicago, which has the second highest number of tower cranes in operation in any US city, and it's behind Seattle. That surge in development is due to largely to companies relocating to the Chicago area and bringing demand for new office and residential space with them. We saw that the same thing happened in Texas that we have presented in our previous seminars. Now, Florida is the third most populous state in the country, and it's the fastest growing. So to meet the needs of a growing economy and population, of course, Florida commercial construction is also rising. Residential construction has a much sunnier outlook. The supply of homes has not been able to keep up with demand, thus driving more new construction. Florida is considered a friendly state for those who are unlicensed. In other words, you can earn money taking on small handyman jobs without getting licensed. In total units in New York, in construction industry, we can see that 2015, it was almost 75,000 units, when we see that 2020 were almost half of them. The total units in Illinois, we can see that in 2015, it was almost the same, more or less, with 2020. And in Florida, we see that there is more stability in the growing of units yearly, year by year. Now, about the restaurant industry, restaurants are a driving force in the US economy. More especially in New York, there were 50,153 eating and drinking locations in 2018, a year before COVID launched, let's say, in our lives. Regarding restaurant and food service jobs in New York, it was almost 900,000 people employed, which means the 90% of employment in the state was working in the food service industry. In Illinois, there were 25,500 eating and drinking place locations. And in 2018, so in 2019, there were about 588,700 jobs. So it was the 10% of the employment in the state. And of course, Florida is a little bit more, 12% employment of the state. More than 1 million people are working in the restaurant and food service, and on 2018 it was 41.366 restaurant and food spaces. The issue is that after COVID, there is about 50 to 55% depreciation in those numbers, and we're still counting, especially for New York, that our office is based there. We have already counted about there was a loss of 18 to 19,000 points of food service offers. So we are still counting, because we will see this year how many will restart, or some of them will reopen. So thank you very much. I think that always data is a little bit you're getting tired with data, but I hope we're going to have a conversation afterwards because this is the facts. Thank you very much. Dina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dimitris Karavasilis. It was a very, very interesting presentation. Thank you so much for that. And now, if you would like, please, to welcome Dr. Anastasia Xenias and move on with the conversation. Mr. Karavasilis?
Yes, I'm so sorry, but I didn't have a... Can you please repeat?
Okay, so I will welcome now, please, ladies and gentlemen. We are extremely happy to welcome Dr. Anastasia Xenias. She's here with us today. And hello, good morning.
Good morning. Very nice to see you. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Dr. Anastasia Xenias is going to talk to us about the impact of COVID-19 on three sectors. Apparel, beauty and cosmetics, and textiles, and is going to share with us a few data in the beginning. And then she will have a conversation with Mr. Dimitris Karavasilis so that they can engage more in the conversation. So please, Dr. Anastasia Xenias, if you're okay, you may begin your input. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina, and thank you, Mr. Karavasilis. Thank you to all of our guests. I am Anastasia Xenias. I am with the U.S. Department of Commerce, the International Trade Administration, U.S. Commercial Service in our office in New York. In New York, I cover the textile and apparel, travel and tourism, shipping, cosmetics, and diamond and fine jewelry industries, assisting New York companies in exporting overseas. Our agency assists American companies to export, to sell overseas, also promotes travel and tourism, arrivals into the United States, as well as inward investment in the United States. I've been asked today to speak a little bit about the retail sector with a focus on the apparel industry, the textile industry, and cosmetics, and just give you a little overview of where things stand in the post-pandemic era. In New York, retail, as Mr. Karavasilis mentioned, is one of our largest sectors. It is very closely tied to the tourism sector. New York has a population of 8.5 million people. This is New York City, but we receive 66 million tourists a year, or at least we did prior to the pandemic. We also would receive, prior to the pandemic, 1.6 million visitors from neighboring cities and states, New Jersey, Long Island, Westchester, Connecticut, that would commute into the city every day to work in offices. So all of these people, in addition to locals, would drive retail sales. With the lockdown and the travel ban, obviously retail sales have been quite dramatically impacted. And we've had some negative effects, and we've had some positive developments. On the negative side, retail is down for the country, and for New York, slightly more than the national average. For example, in the first months of the pandemic, while the country showed department store sales down 95%, in New York, they were down 98%. And have rebounded since, but it hasn't been a linear rebound. For example, retail sales were flat in April, increased of this year, increased in May and June, and then fell again in July. So we're coming back, but it's in fits and starts. On the positive end, e-commerce has been a major development. MasterCard analyzed the development just for 2020 and found that retail sales on e-commerce were up 93%. Apparel is much more significantly impacted or penetrated by e-commerce sales than cosmetics, with 85% of cosmetics still being purchased in brick and mortar stores, and that includes for the younger generation. For electronics and home furnishings, we've had positive numbers. Electronics have been up during the pandemic, up 140%. Home furnishings were up 35%. So not everything is negative, but the situation is clearly one that is in flux and one that is very much dependent on the rebound of travel and tourism to the U.S. This is my 5-minute overview, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Thank you. We welcome you, and I would like to ask you, as a citizen of New York, and especially as a woman that we know in the me as marketeer, I can't resist to ask you, how was the pandemic issue influence your feelings and all this consumption perception that you have as a citizen of New York? The mute.
Sorry about that. Do you mean my spending patterns as a consumer?
Exactly.
Well, like everyone else, I was forced to go to the internet for any purchases in the beginning of the lockdown, and for quite some time afterwards, as we were transitioning into the post-pandemic or post-lockdown period. Do we wear masks? Do we not wear masks? Is it safe? Is it not safe to social distance inside department stores? So like everyone else, I turned to the internet and e-commerce.
Thank you. I would like also to ask, what about people and, I mean, is Fifth Avenue, for example, in Manhattan, is still full of people walking, and they are buying? You see people there with these luxury bags that they are buying from all these stores there. All people are afraid to go out, and they are not getting this formality that we used to be last years.
It's hard to say if fear plays a factor, because the tourist arrivals simply are not there. We have had some increase in tourist arrivals since the lockdown since last year, but nowhere near the 66 million we had in 2019. Also, only 17% of office workers coming from outside of New York City have returned to the office. So we're looking at a much smaller audience, if you will, for retail. It's visible to a New Yorker. I think it's probably also visible to anyone who's traveled to New York, that there are much fewer people on the streets, much fewer people in the stores. And I think we really can't have a rebound in retail until the travel and tourism rebounds itself.
And what about the U.S. companies? How they face all these crises? I mean, they think to start be extroverted, and they feel they have to make, let's say, to find new countries in order to export their goods, or they are, let's say, more open in order to have some foreign cooperations. And how do you see this environment of bilateral trade?
We have heard from companies that international sales helped their bottom line very much during the pandemic. That if they did not have a network of international sales to diversify, they would have been much more hard hit than they were. So definitely companies that have an international presence are able to weather crises like this one. In the apparel sector, in the fashion sector, unfortunately, our exporters are pretty much in the same boat as everyone else's fashion exporters, with the closing of retail stores and then the restrictions in terms of how many people can enter, social distancing, etc. So there hasn't been a lot of new markets opening, but that's different from company to company. But those companies that were diversified found that they did much better. Other companies have sought to pivot manufacturing into what was high in demand. For example, many local garment manufacturers in New York City moved from making dresses into making hospital gowns for local consumption by our own hospitals here. Many cosmetics companies transitioned into making hand sanitizer. So we've been very resourceful and look to weather the storm and look for a brighter future.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. And I hope that this bilateral trade between Greek companies and US companies are going to be fruitful and going to be sustainable, because I think through crisis there are also many opportunities, and there is a very big disruption in global trade, and I think that there are huge opportunities for both countries. Thank you very much for joining us. And Dina, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank you both and for your time and the great conversation you had. And now I'd like to welcome the digital floor to Mr. Nick Papachrysanthopoulos, U.S. commercial specialist at the embassy in Athens. Nico, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Let me... Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nikos Papachrysanthopoulos, and I'm a commercial specialist representing the U.S. International Trade Administration Commercial Service at the U.S. Embassy in Athens. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the American Chamber of Commerce and all the participants to this great event for having me here. And my presentation today will focus on the Select USA program and the services that this program provides to potential investors. We see at the commercial service that exporters of goods to the United States are the potential investment candidates. Now, the International Trade Administration Commercial Service is the trade promotion arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce International Trade Administration, and the U.S. Commercial Service trade professionals are present in 100 U.S. cities and in more than 75 countries to help facilitate investment in the United States. You had the opportunity to see Dr. Zinias today, that she was representing New York, but I will talk for the rest of the total USA here. So why invest in the United States? Well, the United States, with an annual GDP of 20 trillion and population of over 325 million people, is the world's most attractive consumer market, offering unmatched diversity and a thriving culture of innovation, while you can find the most productive workforce. So the Select USA program offers to companies that they want to invest information and counsel. Select USA offers the information and data that help businesses move investments forward. I will get to that in my next slide. Connection with potential partners. Every state in the United States has representatives that we call economic development organizations. You might see them like, as we have in Greece, ministers of ministers that they promote investment in the country, and they provide help to those that they are interested in, giving information regarding whatever someone needs to invest in a particular state. And we, as commercial services, we provide these connections to the potential investors. Also, the Select USA program assists with navigating the regulatory environment. The United States is recognized for its ease of doing business, so Select USA can make it even easier by helping you in your initial stage of of connections there. Now, TradeUSA services gives us instance for companies like research team. Our investment research team provides customized research and analysis for potential investors that are interested to establish or expand business operations in the United States. Examples of key data points are the following. You can give you commercial property and real estate costs, cost of living, demographics, energy costs, foreign direct investment, funding programs and tools, etc., for every state that you are interested to investigate. I'll give you an example. This is a report that is built for a specific company that they were interested in five states: in Boston, in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. You can see here in this report that we can give you in Figure 5, for example, average electricity prices by state and sector. So someone has a very good picture of this. Also, you can see the average annual wage of selected occupations. So if someone is trying to operate operations in the United States, they know what is the cost of hiring people in at different levels and at different industries, as well as tax incentives that each state can give. And this report we can produce from our offices in Washington for every particular company that are interested in any sector. Now, the TradeUSA Summit, it is a summit that is happening every year around June, and it brings together companies from all over the world, economic development organizations, EDOs that I spoke before, from every corner of the nation, and high-level government officials in one place for 3 days. This gives the opportunity for companies that they participate in this event to arrange, before the event happens, meetings with specific economic development offices of every state that they want in one place, plus to participate in specific panels and present also their products, especially in the high-tech industry. So during this event, the participants can find practical tools, information, and connections that they need to move their investments forward. Last year, it was the first time that this event happened virtually, and it had 3,400 participants and all 56 U.S. states and territories represented at this event. And the speakers included 8 U.S. cabinet members and the President of the United States. There were over 500 speakers and in 200 sessions that they give information about the environment that you can find for investing in the United States. Greece, as you can see in this slide, there were 80 plus international markets in attendance. Greece was ranked 8th in participation. We had 43 companies that participated in this event, in this virtual event. And it was very successful that we had all this interest from Greek companies over the years, especially this year were double as we had anticipated, and the participants that we had back in 2019, 18 and 17, in 2020 because of COVID didn't happen. Also, I'd like to mention here that there were over 350 TradeUSA tech companies. There were also a great attention was given to female founders from 30 different markets. And there were also unique pitching sessions, 13 unique pitching sessions that were hosted, where every company of those, they could present their information to a great audience. So this concludes my presentation. I would like also to mention that in the last year, since this program has started back in 2011, from Greece, we have $1.8 billion of investment, which accounts also for new for 3,700 new jobs in the United States. You can contact me anytime you want in case you are interested for more information regarding the program. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much. Any questions you might have, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Nico, for your presentation. The TradeUSA program is a very successful program, and we strongly encourage companies to take part in that. You may find all relevant information about that either at the email of Nikos Papachrysanthopoulos, which will be uploaded at the site. His presentation, along with his contact information, will be uploaded at the event webpage, where you can see all the relevant information. So we would like to thank everyone today that attended. Thank you all for your time. We received some positive comments in the chat section, and we would like especially refer to the message we received from the Department of Economic Diplomacy of the Greek Consulate General in New York, that they are ready to assist with all initiatives, and they also have their own programs. And we, with the Greek Experts Handbook, we are very happy that both sides of the Atlantic work to further promote Greek extraversion and contribute to the enhancement of bilateral trade. Thank you very much all for being here with us today. And we invite you to also attend our 6th Expert USA Forum on November 11th. Thank you very much, and good evening.